Hello, Conrad and Lucy and Caleb. As Papa told you, it's time to return to the exploits of the Fantastic Four. And so today we're going to look at their next adventure with the Mole Man. All right, you remember the Mole Man, don't you? That was their very first opponent. Yes, the mad menace of the macabre Mole Man. And the Mole Man, without doubt, one of the strangest supervillains of all time. He lives in the subterranean depths of the earth, and so he can see in the dark. And look, he has his subterranean servants that have captured Sue. And here come Mr. Fantastic and the Thing and the Torch to rescue her. All right, so let's just jump into the story. Here's the front cover. The mad menace of the macabre Mole Man. The editors say, see the frantic FF as they dare to defy the mighty Avengers. The Avengers are in this story. Sounds great. See the incredible spectacle of the vanished city streets. See the mysterious stranger in the life of Sue Storm. But first of all, we're going to see an earthquake that is shaking the Baxter building. Thing is in his sofa, but his easy chair, but it's bouncing around. He says, hey, who's the wise guy? Who's shaking up the joint? Torch says, Reed, what's going on? There's never been an earthquake in New York before. Mr. Fantastic is stretching around, and Sue says, it's happened so suddenly. The whole city is being rocked by the tremors. But Sue is latched on tight to Mr. Fantastic, who says, don't panic. It can't last much longer. Reed says, Sue, stay under cover, avoid flying debris. Torch, burn through any falling object that may cause damage. Ben, stand ready to help clear out the rubble. Sue says, be careful, Reed, even you can't be everywhere at once. And the Torch says, it feels like the quake's beginning to ease up a little now. Reed agrees, the tremors are getting milder, the worst is over. So now Reed kind of gathers himself back up again. He says, the shock waves have passed. Are you all okay? Wait, where's Ben? Sue says, I don't know. I thought he was here with you. Torch says, I hope nothing happened to the big fella. Hey, listen. Kaboom! There's something going on behind the wall. Sounds like a bulldozer plowing through. Well, we know who would sound like a bulldozer, right? And Torch says, I'd better see what's doing back there. Ben, so you're the one. Stop struggling, you big ape. You're busting through the whole wall. And Thing says, anything's better than drowning in this blasted shower. Well, how did he get in the shower? Johnny says, if you use the brains you were born with, you'd have just reached up and turned off the faucet. Are you trying to hint that I'm dumb? Who's hinting? I accept your apology. Reed is looking out the window. There's not too much damage on the streets below. Nobody seems to be hurt, but the crowds are milling about in bewilderment. Thing says, you're beginning to sound like a regular Walter Cronkite, who was a famous news reporter back in the day. Johnny asks, any idea what caused it, Reed? Reed says, just a hunch, but I'd rather not say till I'm certain. Sue says, you make it sound so ominous. Reed says, let's hope I'm wrong, Sue. Come on all into the Fantastic car. We'll do some investigating. Thing says, now you're talking. It's about time we had a little action around here. But all of a sudden, Sue looks down and sees a newspaper. She thinks, that picture in the paper, it can't be, and yet I've got to make sure. What's so important that she would stop and look at a newspaper? It's a story. And she thinks, no, it is. It is he. After all these years, just when the world had almost forgotten. The headline says, daring escape from state prison. And the little bit I can read says, the warden's office at state prison has just confirmed an earlier report that one of the most daring escapes in the history of that penal institution has just been successfully attempted. Who is that man? What does he have to do with Sue Storm? Reed wants to know the answer to the same question. Sue, what is it? What's wrong? Whose picture are you staring at in the paper? She says, nothing, Reed. Nothing that concerns you. I'd rather not talk about it. Secrets. We all know what secrets mean. You and the others go along without me. I'll wait here. I have to be alone to think. Reed thinks, I've never seen her like this. That man in the photo, he's the cause, but who can he be? Then he continues to think, can there be someone else from the past? Someone she loves more than me? No, I dare not even think about it. And Sue continues to read the paper and clutch it to her bosom. Oh, the drama. We'll find out more later. And then she thinks, they've gone. Now I've got to read again. Make sure there's no mistake. No, it's all here. It's all true. Meanwhile, as a sorely troubled Sue remains behind with the newspaper, the other three are riding around in their Fantasticar. Reed says, look, down below. It's just what I feared. Thing says, a whole blame city block is missing. Too bad it ain't Yancey Street. Johnny asks, wow, could the earthquake have caused it to drop down out of sight? Look at this. It's an entire city block just missing. Quickly landing near the strange sight, Mr. Fantastic begins an immediate investigation in his own somewhat unusual manner, which means that he's going to stretch all the way down and see what's going on. Johnny asks, see anything, Reed? Reed says, no, the hole seems to be bottomless. I can't stretch myself far enough. Then I guess it's up to me, boss man, says the torch. Here goes. And so the torch flames on, and he flies down further than Mr. Fantastic can stretch. Mr. Fantastic says, be careful, Johnny. Johnny says, holy smoke, I ought to be in China by now. The further I go, the deeper it gets. Say, what's that below? Ice, forming all around me, as though someone or something is trying to keep me from going any lower. This ice forms, and so it blocks the path of the flaming torch. But, he says, I can burn my way through some ice, but it's forming faster than I can melt it. Well, like old Rubberhead always says, a smart fighter knows when to retreat. And so he returns to the surface. He says, I couldn't reach the bottom. A whole ocean of ice was blocking the way. Thing says, and you let a little thing like that stop you? Reed says, ice isn't a natural subterranean condition. Now I know my hunch was right. At that very moment, countless thousands of leagues below the surface, we hear a voice, and we see a hand adjusting a knob. The voice says, I knew it was only a matter of time before they would pick up the trail. Who is this mysterious fellow looking at the Fantastic Four on the screen? Who is it who is adjusting these dials? Who is it who has the scientific and inventive know-how to create a visual viewfinder like this? Of course, it's the macabre Mole Man. He says, but this time I'm ready for them. This time the Mole Man shall triumph. All I need is the right hostage, and I found her with my underground scanner. I've been following her movements, and now I'm ready to strike. Who will be his hostage? You know who it is, the one who is always the hostage. There, she's crossing a street, entering a building. It's police headquarters. Now I'll change the scene. I'll make it a distant view. I must take no chances. She must not escape. I'll seize the entire city block again. Now. While on the surface above, Reed, Ben, and Johnny rush back to their headquarters to plan their battle strategy. Reed says that earthquake wasn't a natural one. It was caused by artificial means. Ben says, you mean we've got to tackle another nutty, mad scientist again? Johnny asks, say, where's Sue? I don't see her. Johnny hollers, sis, we're back. Where are you? Reed says, hold it, Johnny. Here's a note. It must be from her. So he stretches out his hand. He grabs the envelope. But before Reed can study the message, look out, another quake. Oh, and they're shaking all over the room. Thing says, boy, this is like living on a pogo stick. Or this would be like bouncing on the trampoline all the time. Everybody would be shaken up. Reed says, it was just a brief one. Turn on the radio, Johnny. See if any other city blocks have vanished. Johnny says, will do. But you know something? I'm almost afraid to find out. Thing looks out the window. Hey, you don't think it's that knuckle-headed Hulk acting up again, do you? Reed says, even his prodigious strength couldn't accomplish a holocaust of this magnitude. Thing says, okay, if you don't want to answer me, just say so. Reed is reading the note. That's odd. Sue's note says she'll be back soon. She had to go to police headquarters downtown. Could it have anything to do with that newspaper item about an escaped fugitive? Johnny says, listen, here's the news. The news says, another city block is missing. It's the northwest side of 23rd Street, bordering the new construction. Reed says, that's the street where police headquarters is, the street Sue went to. And even as the stunned realization strikes the FF, here's the Mole Man and his subterranean minions, and they're watching the city block descend. Mole Man says, here it comes, my mindless subjects. Although my eyes are almost useless to me, my highly developed radar sense tells me that it is exactly the block I seek, the one that she is on. And so then he mounts this flying platform. He says, humans, you need have no fear. No harm will come to you. You will merely be my guests until I have accomplished my main objective. And oh, look at them as they pour out of the buildings, and they try to find a space in that subterranean tunnel. And here are the minions aiming strange guns at them. And then Mole Man points. Ah, there is the one I seek. Take her prisoner. She must not escape. And he's pointing to none other than Sue Storm, the invisible girl. She says, it's the Mole Man. I've got to turn invisible. Mole Man says, bring her to my throne room. Careful, you dolts. No harm must come to her. But look, even though she's invisible, she realizes, oh, I forgot. My invisibility is wasted on them. They're virtually sightless. They depend upon touch and instinct. Minutes later, the subterranean minions brings Sue into Mole Man's throne room. He says, "Twice before you and your accursed partners have frustrated my plan to conquer the surface world, but this time the result shall be different. This time I hold a trump card." She says, "No, you're mad. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how many subterranean subjects you have, you can't defeat all of mankind." "Silence, female. How little you know. I have weapons which the surface fools above cannot even comprehend. I have an entire under-earth arsenal of inexhaustible manpower to draw upon. And most important of all, I now have you. By holding you hostage, the soft-hearted Fantastic Four will not dare to attack me, and as you know, they are the ones I fear the most. Again, you misunderstand us. They won't sacrifice a cause just to save me." Mole Man says, "We shall see about that." Well, I agree with Mole Man. They're not going to sacrifice Sue. That's what makes it a story, right? Seconds later, the highly complex video transceiver in FF headquarters bursts into light as the Mole Man activates it from his awesome world below. Reed says, "I knew it. It could only have been him. But look, behind him, he has Sue. He's pointing to her. He wants us to see her." Thing says, he better have his life insurance all paid up. Moving at breakneck speed, the fighting mad trio race to their pogo plane, and then they're off. Reed says he's got to be down there somewhere. "All engines, full thrust. Let's drop." Reed says, "Look sharp. He knows we're coming. He'll be ready for us." Thing says, "Yeah, if he had any brains, he'd be busy packing." Johnny says, "We've got to reach Sis in time. We've got to." Reed says, "Steady, Johnny. He must know if any harm comes to Sue, he'll have sealed his own doom." And so they plunge downward into the abyss. Johnny says, "Reed, there seems to be something moving down below." Reed says, "I see it, kid. Well, hang on. We can't stop now." Thing complains, "Some flight this is. Not even a single ever-loving hostess on board." I guess the Thing is wanting to order something to drink. But look, it's a trap. Mr. Fantastic says, "A giant steel tentacles capable of slashing the ship apart." Thing says, "We can see what the problem is, big brain. How about telling us how to solve it?" And the Torch says, "Relax, guys. Just leave it to Jonathan. Here I go." And so Johnny flames on. And Thing complains again. "Does he have to use that corny battle cry all the time?" Says the fellow who says it's clobbering time all the time, right? Okay, everybody needs to have a battle cry. Okay, so the Torch says whambo. I had a hunch those gizmos weren't apt to be fireproof. Reed says, "Benjamin, old friend, he could recite Mother Goose for all I care, as so long as he gets the results he does." And he does get the results, doesn't he? He's destroying those tentacles. But far below, as the steel tentacles are melted by Torch's highly concentrated white heat aura, an alarm signal flashes on a complex control panel. All right, and so Mole Man says, "They have passed our first line of defense. Throw the missile switch, you unthinking clod." And seconds later, here come the missiles. And the voice of Mole Man says, "The Torch will never reach the comparative safety of his ship in time." Look, what now? Torch says, "Holy smoke, my heat is making those missiles turn into gigantic spores of some sort. What are those spores going to do?" They're clinging to him. He says, he must have had them waiting for me. They're consuming all the oxygen here. I can't keep my flame on. I'm going to fall. Looks like nothing can save me now. Oh, I bet something can save him. Yeah, it's the fantastic stretching arm of Mr. Fantastic. Luckily, the torch is wrong, because here comes an arm. I've got to get him on the first try. He stretches, and he grabs, and he catches Johnny just in time. Ben says, "Attaboy, High Pockets, you did it." He's colder than a mackerel. There's not enough oxygen there. Hurry, yank him inside. Mr. Fantastic realizes, ugh, just a few more inches. And then they all get back inside the ship. Reed says, "Must reach the lever and shut the door. Blacking out myself. Too much strain." Ben says, "Hey, the ship's starting to spin. We're caught in some kind of air whirlpool. That's all we need." But fortunately, Ben is an experienced pilot. Let's see what he can do. With the thing's powerful hands at the controls, the valiant little craft survives the intense buffeting until, he says, we pass the air currents. There's a calm area ahead. We made it. And then, as they continue to descend, they say, "Wow, there's one of the missing city blocks." Ben Grimm says, "Like my dear old Aunt Petunia used to say, some guys will steal anything." Uh-oh, Ben says, "our air jet brakes ain't working right. There's only one other way to slow this baby down." So he shoves his foot through the shell of the ship, and with his foot he catches the edge of the ledge. He says, "I'll probably have a Charlie horse for a week." Well, I would guess so. Strain some muscles. And then he rips open the hull of the ship. He says, "A fine thing. Here I am in all my glory, and there ain't even a brass band waiting for me. You'd think someone would at least offer me the key to the city or something." Ben must think he's done a great thing, and I guess he has. He's stopped the ship and saved the wreck of a building, but man, he's still done a lot of damage. But he says, "I guess the trouble with me is I'm too modest. Just like all world famous heroes, I don't talk myself up enough." But he's carrying Johnny and Reed out of the ship onto the top of that building. He says, "A place like this would be great for a vacation. At least you wouldn't have to worry about rain." Reed says, "Good work, Ben. You got us here safely. The cobwebs are just beginning to clear away in my head." Johnny says, "Hey, how about that? You guys saved me somehow. Nice going." Reed says, "Now that we're here, our work is just beginning. We're alone and unprotected, right in the heart of the Mole Man's underground empire. And to make matters worse, he knows we're here. But there's no turning back now. We've got to find Sue. Look, in the street below. There she is." Johnny points. "It's the Mole Man with Sue. She's okay." And Mole Man says, "So, you have escaped my little traps. I rather thought you would. Now you may come down here, making no sudden, menacing moves." Reed says, "We'll do as he says for the time being." And so Reed makes a slide out of his body. So Johnny slides down. He says, "Hi, sis, here we come." And next it's Ben. He says, "Thanks, Stretcho. It's about time you carried some of the load around here." Reed says, Slide now and talk later, partner. You're not exactly a lightweight." Mole Man says, "Very clever of you. And now how do you propose to reach the street, Mr. Fantastic?" He says, "I have ways." And then Mole Man says, "Slowly, slowly. Stay back, thing. You too, Torch. This weapon has a hair trigger and is pointed straight at Sue Storm." What a bully. Well, here comes Mr. Fantastic. No need for threats, Mole Man. You know we'll do nothing to jeopardize Sue's life. You're calling the tune right now. What is it you're after? He says the same thing I've always been after, conquest of the surface world. But this time I have means of guaranteeing that you will not interfere with my plan. I shall keep Sue captive. You shall return to the surface. You must obey me. You have no choice. Reed says, but we're not the only ones who will oppose you. Mole Man says, I'm aware of that, but if you value her life, you will do all in your power to prevent others from defying me. In short, so long as Sue Storm is my prisoner, you will serve me, as the rest of mankind will soon serve me. Johnny says, Reed, what will we do? We can't just leave Sue here. Thing says, say the word and I'll rush him. Mr. Fantastic says, easy, both of you. We haven't much choice. Sue says, no, don't worry about me. There's too much at stake. Attack him. You've got to. Mole Man says, brave words, Miss Storm, but I knew they'd be ignored. And now all of you stand where you are. You're about to make your journey in reverse. And so look, he's pulled out a remote device out of his robes. And sure enough, at a command from the Mole Man, an incredibly powerful jet of pressurized air lifts the three adventurers as though they're weightless. Johnny realizes he's sending us back to the surface. And Mole Man says, remember, if I am attacked by anyone, the girl's life will be forfeit. Oh no, what a tight spot the Fantastic Four are in. Because Sue is Mole Man's captive, they have to serve him by protecting him from all other attackers. Well, guess who's going to come and try to attack Mole Man and stop his plan? Remember, the Avengers. And they're going to be waiting for the Fantastic Four, and that's how we're going to start the adventure the next time we come together. Oh my, I can't wait. See you then. Bye-bye for now.